Hello, welcome to the last session of the day. We will talk about today about enterprise continuous testing slash Tricentis test automation integrated with Cloud ALM. And first of all, I would do an introduction to test automation and the integration with Cloud ALM. And then I will hand over to my colleague Rasha, who will provide a lot of details on how to do creating a test case that it will get most robust as possible. Because in typical cases, you will do a recording, but after the recording, you need to enhance and work on the test case that it's running smoothly also after another week, another month, and so on. So starting with some news that has been provided by Tricentis for the test automation part. There is a new, very nice looking homepage with a dashboard providing the results from most of the recent place list runs, as well as the schedules that are planned next, and all the statistics about recent activities related to your test artifacts. There is a completely new editing experience that has been updated that also now includes folders for all the artifacts. We have all the automation structure elements, like you can create test step folders. You have conditions with if loops, else loops, while loops, and so on. You have a section with modules, reusable modules, and it has been enhanced in a nice way. And one of the most missing features until beginning of this year was test data management. So far before it was necessary, you have also fixed data in your test case, and when you're in your system, the data is changing, you need to go to each test case. That has been now enhanced by a central test data management where you can have a test data set and you can link the data to your test case, and you only need to update in the test data set. We have improved inventory folders. I mentioned that. That is also one of the experience enhancements. During the executions that you do as a test engineer, and try make your test running, you can now also skip steps. That saves a lot of work that you not always need to start from scratch, but you can do it screen by screen and module by module. And there is also improved playlist compared to on-premise Tosca, where you can decide either the test cases should run in sequence or in parallel, or you can also schedule the test cases. And you can convert any step you have defined in your test case structure, you can convert in reusable test steps. And these reusable test steps can be reused in other test cases. For instance, if you have an order to cash process and some of the variants using delivery, and some of them are rush order where the delivery is created implicitly, then you can reuse some parts of the test cases, that the reusable test blocks in different test cases. Also, what has been changed in May this year is the products that we're providing from SAP to our customers. Actually, they are coming from Tricentis, but SAP is providing them to our customers. What you see here in blue is all you get as part of enterprise support or any cloud subscription. On the left side, we have here the classical on-premise work that was also in the past on the left side, with Solution Manager, with TTA for Solution Manager, and ECT for Solution Manager. And on the right side, and that has been extended to have a little bit more flexibility from moving from on-premise to the cloud, that we recalled the reselling product from SAP Test Automation by Tricentis to also ECT, Enterprise Continuous Testing. And any customer that has already purchased the license from SAP for ECT on-premise can directly use also the cloud version. There is no need to have another negotiation with our sales teams. You can just use it. For TTA, integrated with Cloud ALM. We also want to provide soon the possibility that even you can connect the cloud version of Tricentis to Solution Manager if you're running your ALM processes still in Solution Manager, like many customers are still waiting also for in Charm to have new features, the same features in the Cloud ALM, and still want to work in Solution Manager. They can now still work in Solution Manager, but already use the cloud version of Tricentis Test Automation. Some comparison between the cloud version and the on-premise version is the deployment for the cloud. It's fully automated within 3 minutes. If you click on the tile in our Launchpad, the tenant is provisioned, it's available, it's integrated with Cloud ALM, and you can start creating test cases. And in on-premise world, of course, you need to install it, your Tosca Commander, maybe the server, and all the hardware is required. That could be skipped. For the update, as well as for Cloud ALM, where you get the updates, the fixes, everything automatically, the same for the cloud version of Tricentis Test Automation. But in TTA, sometimes if you want to provide a patch, it has created some issues, some DLLs were missing and so on. And this is all gone. Infrastructure, full SaaS solution, and you don't need to have any hardware, CPU consumption, SAP takes, the same for the memory and all the things. And for the on-premise, of course, you have some hardware requirements that were needed, so this is not required anymore. For the test automation itself, in the cloud version, you have a lot of advanced features that maybe was not available yet in the classic version, but also we know that are still some features that are available in the on-premise version that we also expecting in the next few months in the cloud version, and it's on the roadmap of Tricentis to provide those. One example is, for instance, the recorder that you might know as ARA as a name, that will also come for the cloud. And then also allows you to do a recording by a key user, and then the test engineer can follow up to make the test case robust. Test execution with the possibility to find agents and install agents, for instance, on virtual machines. You have a high flexibility on working with that, and with the distributed execution setup, there were some limitations that are not available anymore. Reporting, we have some advanced reporting features. So recording provides logs and so on in the cloud. And also here in the on-premise world, it was quite limited. Setup, I explained, it's quite one click to this tile called Setup Tricentis Test Automation for SAP. So if you want to go to the reselling version called Enterprise Continuous Testing, it's the same way. You start with TDA, and then you can upgrade to ECT later on. After the click, you have a wizard you need to guide through. You have a consent to be confirmed, terms and conditions, that you accept those, and after some minutes, 3 minutes typically it takes, that you can then directly use Tricentis Test Automation. And I would like to hand over to Rasha for providing all the details that are required to create a real robust test case.
Thanks, Srina. Welcome once again, everyone. After we had a lot of sessions of buffered in ALM Summit, welcome once again for a desert test automation. So in this session, we will create an automated test case in Cloud ALM. Then we will launch TTA from Cloud ALM, and we will set up the test case. And then we will create modules, and also we will utilize the standard modules which are available or which are predefined by Tricentis. Then we will design the test case and also set up the test step flow as per the functional requirement. Then we will create a test data set. Then we will do an execution from Cloud ALM, and that will be triggered in TTA, and the execution report will be load back again to Cloud ALM. So when you click on test preparation tile in Cloud ALM. You will land in this page. You need to click a create button. Then you will see a tile or the page to open for creating a new test case. So there,
Pointer.
you need to select the type as automated, and then automation provider as TTA for SAP, and the title is title of your test case. It should be business relevant, and then you click on save. Your test cases is created, automated test case, and with a reference link to the TTA. When you click on the reference link under test case, this screen of TTA will be launched. This is the reference which is created in Cloud ALM. The same replica will created in TTA. So these are the predefined artifacts to ease up the automation. And also, Tricentis have predefined data objects in the left navigation menu, if you can see it, like basic window operation. For example, you want to close a window, or you want to wait until a window loads, and also you want to make some folder operations. For example, once you create a delivery, you are creating a sales document, you want to save it under a particular folder, and you want to delete it after the execution is completed. You can do all these folder operations. You can create a folder, you can delete the folder, you can keep or create a dummy file in any format, PDF, Excel, Word, in any format. And also file operations, numeric operations. For example, you want to make some evaluations, like you want to calculate once the stock is created, how many stocks are moved, what are the available stocks. You can do all these evaluation using these standard objects. And this section is used to define the test configuration. For example, you want to parameterize the testing. Either it can be a browser, or you can also pass the test data. As I mentioned, make this name business relevant. So here I have created a new parameter named browser and mentioned the value as Chrome, because I want my system under test to be executed in Chrome. So the next step, you want to set up the folder structure. It should be precondition, process, and postcondition. It's a best practice because it gives more readability for the non-technical person, what is defined in the test case. And also, under the process section, you should have the core functionality of the functional requirement, or what are the verification you want. And in precondition, you can set up the test environment, like login, launching the Fiori app. And post-condition, you can set up the environment ready for the next test case. And also, under process, you can also create more test folders, depends on the complexity or length of your test case. For example, under BD9, you can have many folders, like create sales quotation, create sales order, and create delivery, those things. So this option is create module. It only appears before the first scan. So, as I mentioned, these are the predefined module attributes. So for example, in this case, I'm going to create a sales quotation. For that, I need to launch a Fiori app. So in this case, it's a web application. So I search for open URL under module section. Then you need to click on the plus icon next to the module. And that will add this module as a test step into the precondition folder. On that test step, we can see three options. One is URL, where you will enter the URL you want to launch. And then in use active tab, if you turn this value as true, this will load or open the open the URL in the active session or active tab. If there is no active tab is loaded in the browser, if you mentioned for SUT, system under test. For example, in this case, there is no Chrome is open. It will open a Chrome session with the URL I have used. So now you have launched the URL with the predefined standard object. Now we are going to create a module By clicking Create Module option, this will open the pop-up. So this allows you to select which type of application you want to scan. It's a web. This is to scan the web application. This is for embedded applications. If you are using Chromium and other, you are in a different development phase. You want to select particular version of your application or particular version of the browser, you can do that. And this is for desktop application. So TTA Cloud allows both web as well as desktop application automation. So click on Start Scan. So in this, the number of active browser session will appear here. So you can select the application which you want to scan. Then on the left-hand side, you can see the application which you want to scan. And this right-hand side, this is the scan window where you can add the module attributes. So the first and foremost step is to set the name of the module and title unique and flexible, because we are going to search the same name in our test step section. So these are the two options that will ease up to select the controls. For example, the highlight selection. If you highlight a particular control on the right-hand side, this will highlight the control which you want to select here. And select on screen allows you to select the control directly. In this case, username, password, and logon. And as a best practice, you should capture all the necessary fields at one go. For example, you just need username and password and logon in this test case. And later, in a different business case, you want to check whether this Remember Me button is available in my screen. So some other fellow automation engineer wants to do that. So you should not let others to create more modules. So this will create duplicates, and also it's kind of duplicate, right? So to make it more efficient, capture all the necessary fields at one go. Don't capture all the fields available in the application. So it should be very business relevant. Once you capture the necessary fields, click on the Save button. Then I have completed my login step. The next step is I want to select, or I want to search for the particular application. In this case, it's Manage Sales Quotation. For that, the first step, I want to select apps under the All dropdown. So I have, as I mentioned earlier, I have used highlight selection, so that control is highlighted in a red mark. So once this is added, just save and close it, because you can observe there is a change in the UI. Once you select apps, the search text box change into search in apps. So as an automation engineer, you should always mindful how the functional behavior of the application. So if there is any change in the application, we are going to replicate the manual way. This means we are automating the manual way. So in order to do this, we already saved the module. So we want to change, or we want to modify the field which is already created. In this scenario, we have an option to rescan the module. So once our module is saved, in this case, Fiori5 home_home. So I have searched for that module, which I mentioned earlier. You should be very careful while naming the modules. So it should not be, by default, there will be some name, depends on the title of the application which you are scanning. So I have changed it to Fiori5 home. So I have searched for it under module section. And then you can see there is an icon to jump to module. Once you click on jump to module, this module will open in a new tab of your browser. So one more additional tip. So whenever you are automating an application, so you keep your system under test. For example, in this case, the Fiori5 I have opened in Chrome, and TTA I have opened in Edge. So you can, if you close it, if you have a post condition to close the browser, it will not close your TTA. So again, you need to rework on that to open it again and you need to set up these case. And if you have unsaved things, it will be gone. So in this case, the new tab will open, and then if you click on rescan, sorry. Yeah. Once you click on rescan, you are going to add the module attributes which we already seen. So we are going to add the search for apps, and then you save it, and then come back here, click on refresh. So these two controls are newly added. For example, search in apps and search. Then this is cardinality. The cardinality function is one unique feature by Tricentis. For example, I want to do more actions on a single control. So I want to first buffer the value which is shown in the application, and I want to delete it, and I want to insert a new value, and I want to click there. So for that option, so instead of copying and pasting there, we can increase the cardinality. In this case, if you see, I have used two options like wait on and input, and again an input and search. So once this rescan is completed, so we are going to add the module which is scanned and saved before. For that, once again, you are going to search for the module, and then you click on the plus icon. That module will add it under precondition. So next to launch Fiori, then we are logging in. So we have some unique features like the passwords can be encrypted in this, so no one can see that. And X can also be used in this way. For example, you can also use click for buttons, but that will have a user interaction. So how the user clicks, it will take the mouse control wherever it is, and it will drag the mouse control to the button. So instead of that, we can also use X. That is kind of a API call, so that will be executed in the backend. So in the similar way, I'm adding the next steps for sales quotation, like search for the Fiori app, and then manage sales quotation screen. I will select, or I will scan or add the attributes which I want, like create reference and create. And the next screen is create sales quotation, where I can give the organizational data, and it's like VA21 transactions, whatever the necessary screens I want to scan and add, and I want to sequence it in the same way. Then here we have added all the test steps, but the values. Instead of hard coding the values, because the create sales quotation we use n number of times across the portfolio. For that, we can also pass the test data from test data set. It's not hard coded. For that, we have test data set functionality by Tricentis. To add a test data set, to add a test data from a test data set, click on the icon which is highlighted in the value section of a test step. Then this will open a prefill expression values window. There you can click on prefill expression values. That will open a test data set which is created. In this case, I have created a test data set BD9. So Tricentis have one wonderful option called test data set and super subset for the test data set. In this case, it's a subset for create sales quotation. The data set is BD9, so I can use the same data across the BD9 transactions from sell from stock. So for create sales quotation, create sales order, I can reuse the same value. So once this is launched, select on the organization, click on prefill values, and this syntax will pop up. So this syntax can be directly entered by you in the previous screen. You can see the top and the bottom on the right-hand side, they are the same screen. If you well known the syntax, you can also prefill it. You don't need to do the third step. Once you map all the data in the test case, so this will appear like this. For example, the sales organization map from BD9 organization, and then distribution channel is also mapped from test data set. Similarly, the test data which can be modified or which needs to be modified in the future case can be mapped from TDM. naming of test steps and folders should be business relevant, and it should be readable for the fellow testers or fellow automation engineers, even the manual testers, or sometimes needs to go through our test cases. So in this case, the naming should be business relevant, and it should be more understandable. Here, once this automation is done, let's see sample execution that is triggered from Cloud ALM that will launch TTA. It will create a sales quotation. Then we'll come back again to Cloud ALM. We can see the execution report. The execution is triggered from Cloud ALM. Logging. Entering all the mandatory fields. Once the execution is completed, you come back and refresh Cloud ALM. It shows it's executed 100%. And if you want to see the execution log, just open the test case, and this screen will open, and click on Open Execution Log. So you will be redirected to TTA. So there you can see View Lost Run. You click over there. You can see logs, and also attachments available, which shows the logs as well as test steps wise JSON file. And then if you go to test step sections, you can see the buffers. In this case, I have buffered the sales quotation which is created. I want to reuse for the further test processes. Yep, the summary, it's no infrastructure needed as mentioned by Reina. It's pretty simple. It is handled by Tricentis. Very fast onboarding, just 3 minutes, just a click away. And the modern integration is done by both SAP and Tricentis. It's a unified cloud platform from Cloud ALM and TTA. And also, you don't need to have you don't need to plan any update. For example, in a real world of on-premise version, if you have a patch update, you need to stop your automation or execution for a particular time. You need to do the update manually by the test automation architect. And here, these things are completely handled by SAP and Tricentis. And the reports and analytics are very much and well improved. So you can see your data test execution, a weekly, monthly report in the home page. And together with Cloud ALM and TTA, you spend less time and good quality. Thank you.